Hey everyone, it's Dina. One of the things that I want to review today is when somebody gets a new machine, they often have difficulties cutting the material, the vinyl, the paper, or whatever it is, and they're frustrated because it's either not cutting or it's cutting too deep or something along those lines. Most often, the culprit for that is not loading the blade correctly into the blade holder in the carriage. What I'd like to do is talk to you about the different types of blades, and then I want to show you how to properly install the blade into the carriage. I have a Cameo 3, and you can tell that because there is a dual carriage in this machine. Machines made prior to the release of the Cameo 3 only had a single holder. Okay, now the blade that comes with the Cameo 3 is the auto blade, and you can see that it has the 0 to 10 setting, but on the back it has this nifty little groove that fits directly with the grooves in the primary holder, and you can tell primary by the red circle designation. Okay, so the key to this is lining up the grooves with the holder and then just ensuring that it's all the way seated into the carrier. Then what you want to make sure is you're pushing this lock lever into place until you hear it click. Okay, so let me show you that again. Find the grooves, line them up, push it into place, and then push the lock into place. Another visual is if you see this little blue dot, then you know that you have this locked into place properly. One thing that happens is they don't push the blade all the way down. So if there is a gap between your blade and the top of this holder here, so you can see that my finger is fitting in there, then your blade is not going to touch the material that is feeding through the rollers on your machine. If your blade is up high, such as this, and it's seated above the carriage holder, your blade is definitely not going to touch anything that is being fed through the machine. Okay, so just make sure all the way down, lined up with the grooves in the back, and clicked into place. Okay, that's the auto blade for the Cameo 3. Now keep in mind this is specific to this model of the machine. You can, however, use the other types of blades, such as the ratchet blade that you see here in black. You can see that it has a fin on the back, or on it somewhere. Now there's also a blue version of this blade, and really the only difference is the color. Blue is designated as a fabric blade, and really all that means is kind of like your fabric scissors are solely for fabric, then that's how you should treat the blue blade if you're cutting fabric. Don't mix and match, because then that's going to degrade the quality of your blade and cause poor cuts. Now the way that I do this, because this blade has to be manually adjusted, is I adjust my blade setting first. So you can see the 0 through 10, and then the red line is pointing to your current setting. Okay. And then with the fin in front, lock it into place. All right. You don't have to worry about lining the grooves up because there are no grooves for this particular blade. Those are only for the auto blade. And you can use this ratchet blade in both sides. So if you were doing a sketch project that you wanted to cut, you could put your sketch pens in one of these blade holders and then do your cutting blade in the other. Okay, and you would just designate which one in the software is red and which one is blue. All right. This is the premium blade. It still has a 0 through 10 setting, but it has a blue cap. The premium blade has a stronger blade, and you can adjust the blade by simply twisting it left or right. Okay. Now, the good thing about these types of blades is they don't have a fin. So really there's no right or wrong way to put this in the machine. But I have found that there is a little kind of groove indentation that I like to line up just because I'm kind of weird like that. Oops, make sure you unlock it first so that you can push it all the way in. Sometimes they need to click down into the holder and then you lock it into place, okay? So this is going to say, cut the same depth as your auto blade and your ratchet blades, but it is, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it is marketed as 3 times the strength, or it will last 3 times as much as a ratchet blade, a regular ratchet blade. That's with proper use, okay? That's a whole other thing, is that whole quote-unquote proper use. This blade is the deep cut blade. It is specific to the Cameo 3 and I believe the Curio, which can cut up to 2 millimeters thickness of materials, like your chipboard, your acetate, craft foam, things like that, burlap, whatever. You can adjust this blade by twisting it left or right. And the trick to this is the numbers that you're seeing coordinate with the color on the cap. So the blue lines, if this blue part is showing, then you are setting it to the blue numbers. Okay, if the red is only showing, oops, wrong way, then you're using a higher setting, such as 20, 18, and so on, okay? And it has this little groove, just like the premium blade. I'm not really sure if you can see that or not. Okay, but you would fit this into the holder the same way, make sure it's all the way down, and then locked into place. Okay, now, changing your blade, excuse me, not changing your blade, cleaning your blade. What you want to do is move these all the way down to 0. Yep, go all the way down to 0. And then you can try to untwist the cap with your hands. Whoops, try not to drop it. And see if you have any bits and pieces of vinyl, of paper, or whatever in there. Mine looks pretty clean right now. And then just simply screw that back on. Okay. Now, if you look here on my machine, this is also a place where I can adjust my blade. I just simply fit it onto the housing and twist to adjust my blade. Honestly, it's just easier to do it this way if you can, okay? Ratchet blades don't twist manually with your hand, so you do need to use this little tool. You'll feel it click. And then just note where your red line is pointing, because that's the blade setting that you've selected, okay? Now, there are a couple of other ways that you can do this. This is the tool to help you change your blade setting or take the cap off. A lot of people don't really know what this does. These pieces here are used for something totally different topic. But you'll notice that these shapes are the same, and then your cap will line up with this part right here. If you've purchased a ratchet blade and it comes with this little gray cap, it's the same thing as these other tools, it's just in a different format. So you stick your blade in, you can see how it just kind of sets right on there, and you twist, and then you've changed your blade depth. All right? So now, keep in mind, the auto blade is the only blade that will automatically change per the settings in the software. So if you're not using an auto blade, make sure that you're changing it to ratchet, because that's technically what all of these types are ratchet blades. Okay? Deep cut, premium, standard, which is also the blue blade for fabric. Okay? The only difference is the blue color. Auto blade, software changes it. All right. That's it for blades and how to load them. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for watching.